Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Eva, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about two exciting new launches from RMS Beauty. First up, I have their new Revitalize Hydra Concealer, and then I have the new Crystal Slipper collection. So if you're interested in learning more about these products and seeing them on my face, then go ahead and keep on watching. RMS was kind enough to send over all of the products we're going to be using today. Quick shout out to RMS. They are a brand who has supported me since I was even smaller than I am now. I'm still like a nano creator, but even when I had like maybe 1,000 subscribers, they were the first brand to ever send me PR and offer me a discount code. So I think that says a lot about a brand when they're willing to take a chance on small creators. So thank you, RMS. But of course, as always, my opinions will be brutally honest, even though these were gifted to me. Okay, let's start off with the concealer. The new RMS Revitalize Hydra Concealer comes in a whopping 26 shades and retails for $35. Something I immediately noticed when I first tested this concealer was the brush reminded me so much of the Dior concealer brush, where it is one of those actual like little miniature paint brushes. For claims, I'm going to read directly from the RMS website. So it is a high performance, clean complexion perfecting liquid concealer with medium coverage in a satin skin-like finish. What it does: crease proof and ultra nourishing, this skincare infused multitasker delivers the benefits of an eye cream, revitalizing the delicate skin area while improving the appearance of skin's texture. Blah, 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 light as air, creamy consistency, feels weightless, and blends in effortlessly without caking or setting into fine lines or pores. So, main claims: medium coverage, crease proof, which we'll get to that later, and then has a weightless feel. I have been testing this concealer for around a week now, so this is not going to be a first impression, but what I am going to do is I am going to wear everything for at least 3 hours. Fortunately, I wasn't able to film this in the morning. I'm filming it after work in the evening, hence why we got this weird sunset kind of coming through. But I will be having the makeup on for around 3 hours, and I will come back after that 3-hour mark and do close-ups and show you. So it's not going to be a full day wear test, but 3 hours normally is pretty sufficient for me. That's at the point when if a makeup product is going to start breaking down, it's broken down by that 3-hour mark. I picked out 3 shades from RMS. So I picked out shade C05, shade CN03, and then shade WN04. My one complaint about the shade range is I feel like there were not enough neutral shades. Everything was either like a cool neutral or a warm neutral. There weren't enough just plain neutral shades. I am a true neutral, so that was a little bit annoying. For swatches, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just swatch directly on my cheek. That way you can see the products kind of close up on my skin. Then we'll remove those and do a proper application. So we are going in with C05. Here we have C05. Next, we're going to go in with WN04. And then last, we're going to go in with CN03. I should also mention that I didn't just pick like the 3 lightest shades because some of the undertones, like of the 3 lightest, just weren't working for me. So I jumped around a little bit. So again, this one is CN03. For comparison, I grabbed my beloved Givenchy N95 concealer, which is definitely more of my like tan shade. So you can see this one is quite a bit warmer than the RMS ones. For the application and the wear test, I'm going to do one half my face with the RMS concealers And then I'm going to do the other half with my Givenchy Prism Libra concealer. And the reason for that is because, I don't know, like, I feel like concealers are a little bit challenging for me to review because there is not one concealer on planet Earth that does not, you know, crease on me and really on any human being. And so I find it hard sometimes to judge, like, oh, is my skin just extra crepey that day? Am I extra dehydrated? Is that why the product didn't perform well? So I wanted to compare it to a tried and true concealer. That way, if I'm like noticing things, I can compare to, okay, well, how is it performing with the Givenchy? Is it just my skin? Is this something that's normal for a concealer, etc.? So on the under eyes, I'm going to go in with the CN03, which is the lightest shade that I picked up. Let me zoom you in very close so you can watch kind of what the coverage level is like. I don't want to apply too much because that is the kiss of death for me with product caking up. So we'll do that. It does feel thick when you first apply it. It doesn't bother me. I just wanted to mention that. It does feel thick because it is a medium coverage, and I'm just going in with a Sephora Collection Pro Concealer brush. Well, I think that did an excellent job from a coverage perspective. But I am noticing that it is kind of like bunching up in certain areas and not looking like doesn't look terrible, but it's not looking its absolute best. It's doing something I hate when concealers do, where it's like kind of just sitting on top of the skin in certain areas. The beautiful lighting or the flattering lighting isn't going to really showcase that properly, but I assure you it's happening. And when I used the product the other day, I thought maybe I had done my skincare too close to when I was applying this, but I have not applied skincare for 8 hours. So that's something to keep an eye on. Before we move on to applying the other shades, I do want to apply the Givenchy. That way we can have a comparison to figure out, like, is my skin just being weird or is this something with the concealer? Now keep in mind, this is more of like a summer shade on me, and I did not do my fake tanner in the past couple of days, so it's going to be a little bit dark, and it's definitely going to be, of course, darker than the RMS one. So the Givenchy concealer is basically doing on the under eyes kind of what the RMS one is doing, so I think I was just being a little bit overly critical, because I typically, when I'm applying my concealer, I'm not like paying that much close attention to the under eye area. I'm just like applying it and moving on with the rest of my makeup. But doing a little bit of a closer inspection in my mirror, they kind of are doing the exact same thing, as in they're sitting a little bit on the skin and then they're creasing. But again, there's no such thing as a crease-proof concealer, so I really don't like when brands make that claim. I guess I failed to press record, but I spot concealed with CO5 on my left side of my face, CO5 from RMS, and then on the right side I'm now spot concealing with the Givenchy. A big formula difference is going to be the consistency of the formula. The RMS one is going to be thicker because it is a medium coverage, whereas the Givenchy is thinner and it's a lot more spreadable. The reason why this is one of my favorite concealers is because you can also just spread it on your face and blend it out with a beauty blender, and you kind of have basically like a skin tint on because it is so dang spreadable. Okay, there are a few more spots that I want to further conceal using RMS. Okay, so far I think it's looking nice. I do want to add a little more concealer to the inner corner here where I have some purpley spots. I feel like this never really goes well for me when I do this, but I'm curious. I'm gonna actually tap this out with my finger. Basically just trying to brighten up this area here. Okay, definitely brightened. Now I'm gonna do the same with the Givenchy. Okay, they look kind of the same. I mean, they're not perfect, but they look like they're performing pretty similarly on the inner corner area. That is it for concealer right now. I'm going to apply my Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin, and then we'll come back and figure out if there are any other areas where we want to conceal or brighten before we move on to the Crystal Slipper collection. Off camera, I went ahead and applied the RMS Hydra Setting Powder, and I have to say this works beautifully with the concealer. I'm very picky when it comes to my powders. And the way that it just kind of like melted into that concealer, really, really glad that I chose to use this. Of course, it still looks good on the Givenchy side, but I think it looks a lot better on the side with the RMS concealer. Also off camera, I went ahead and applied micellar water to my eyelids to really clean them off before we go in with the cream shadow. That's something I've been doing lately. I learned that from, I don't remember who, a makeup artist, and it's made such a big difference when I am using cream shadows. Okay, now let's go ahead and wrap up my initial thoughts on the concealer before we move over to the Crystal Slipper collection. So first impression / my impression from wearing the concealer earlier this week is I like it. Again, shade range could use some improvement, but I think it is very pigmented. It does a good job of covering up without looking overly cakey. There's such a fine line between coverage and cakiness, and I think it does deliver in those claims. And as far as not creasing and wear time, I will report back on that at the end of the video. I did want to mention also that RMS, I do have a code with RMS where you get 20% off site-wide. However, they did message me to give me a heads up that if you are purchasing the concealer at this point in time, if you're watching this a month from now, probably different, but at this point in time, if you purchase the concealer on their website, you get a free concealer brush, and codes do not work on that. So I did want to mention that. If you do try using my code on this item right now, it's not going to work, but it will work on everything else. Okay, now let's move into the Crystal Slipper collection. So RMS already had a blush called Crystal Slipper in their Redimension Hydra Powder blushes, which is one of my favorite blush formulas of all time, and this is one of my favorite blush shades of all time. It is a beautiful, beautiful kind of barely there, warm, neutral, warm, like shimmery nude. That's how I would describe it. So when I found out that they were launching Crystal Slipper in a bunch of their other products, I was very, very excited. So let's go through those. So first we have their lip oil in Crystal Slipper. It's what I've been wearing during this video. It's very pretty. It's very comfortable. The shade is nice. My one complaint about these is it removes so much of the product before you pull it out that I feel like you have to go back in several times to get the amount of product that you're looking for. So that's just something I wanted to call out. Let me go ahead and do an arm swatch. So we have the Crystal Slipper lip oil here. It's definitely more of a barely there shade, so it's not going to show up a lot on my arm. Okay, next up we have their lip to cheek formula. I love this multi-use formula. So we have it in Crystal Slipper. I haven't used this yet, so I'm curious if this one's like shimmery. Oh yeah, okay. Interesting. So it is shimmery. Pretty sure all of the other lip to cheeks, or majority of them, are matte. Or not matte, but like no shimmer. And then the Crystal Slipper Luminizer. I love the RMS luminizers. What I am really curious about is like, what's the difference between the lip to cheek and the luminizer? They look, I mean, okay, the lip to cheek is slightly deeper, but they look pretty dang similar in the pan or in the pot. Okay, the formula is very different though. Like, very, very different. Okay, and then here, it's hard to see, but here we have Crystal Slipper. These highlighters are supposed to be very like dewy and translucent, so it's not really going to show up well on the skin, but everything definitely does fall into that Crystal Slipper range. And then we have the Crystal Slipper Metallic Eyelights. Now, I hated the matte ones. Hate, 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 hate. But I do like the, oh, okay, I'm not even pressing it. It's already coming out of the tube. But I do like the metallic ones. So here we have Crystal Slipper and the metallic highlights. Ooh, that is a very pretty shade. I'm not going to apply bronzer because I don't want the bronzer to like detract from these products. So let's go ahead and just go straight in with cheeks. Let's use the lip to cheek in Crystal Slipper. And for these, I like to apply these with my finger. It's giving a very subtle, kind of like sunburnt, sun-kissed look to it. So you can tell it's definitely doing something. I'm gonna apply more and build it up. And sorry that I keep looking down, my mirror is over here. I'm still working on figuring out the right setup so that I can actually look directly in the camera. I'm still have such a bad habit of looking in the viewfinder, so I'm not making eye contact with you. So here we have Crystal Slipper. Let's go ahead and add her to this side. Okay, I think this is very, very pretty. It is subtle, but it's very beautiful. It does have shimmer to it, but there's no micro glitter. It's not doing what those Dior blushes did where there was visible glitter. There is a little bit of shimmer, but it's very subtle, almost undetectable, and it mainly just looks like a glow from within. Like, I don't even know if I can detect a shimmer particle on the skin, which for me, that's a sign of a good formula. Now time for the luminizer. I freaking love the Living Luminizers. Back in the day, one of Taylor Swift's like makeup artists or someone revealed that it was her highlighter of choice, but this was like way back in the day. I want to say like maybe during Red era, like it was a while ago. Again, very subtle, but it does just add a nice additional glow to the cheeks. I'm tempted to apply Crystal Slipper blush on top, but I also really like the way that this looks. It looks very effortless and fresh. I will link a video, I'm sure I have a video here where I'm applying Crystal Slipper, so I will link that up above. Next, we have the highlights. So something about this packaging, you just have to be careful because of the metal, like if you barely touch it, it starts pushing out product. And you want to be careful and not apply too much. I applied that much, and I'm going in with this is just like a Sydney Grace eyeshadow brush. I'm going to apply it directly this way, and if I feel like I need to go in directly with the finger, we could always pivot. I want to build it up a little more. I'm tempted to go in with, I'm going to go in with my finger, and if it ends up looking terrible, it's not the end of the world because we have another eyelid that we can work with. But it's been a while since I've used the metallic one, so I don't quite remember kind of the best way to apply them on my eyelids. I'm probably going to stop. It's very pretty. It's very subtle. These aren't going to be like the Color Fix metallics from Danessa Myricks. They are going to be just a very pretty, subtle wash of sheen. Once I do the other eye, I will go ahead and zoom you in so you can see a little bit better. For the other eye, I'm just going to go in directly with my finger. So when you go in directly with the finger, it does just right off the bat build it up a lot more. I'm going to grab my mirror here so I'm not being rude and looking down the entire time. But for me, sometimes when I build up these products too much, that's where, you know, creasing gets involved. I prefer the side where I actually applied it with the brush first and then just tapped a little bit of product on. I do think when you go in directly with the finger, actually, no, I don't know. They both look really nice. One is just a little bit more subtle, so I'll probably continue using that brush technique, but it doesn't look like cakey or bad or creasy on the side that I applied it with my finger. So that's a plus. Let me zoom you in. And then for lips, we have the lip oil, which I have been wearing, but let's go ahead and reapply more. I love this lip oil formula. It's very thin. And I really like to build up my lip products to the point where I shouldn't, where things start getting goopy, as you can tell. So that is user error, not product error. So here we have Crystal Slipper on the lips. I'm gonna go off camera and apply mascara and my eyebrows so we can get a final look. Here we have the final look. I am obsessed, you can tell from my smile. I really love these tones on me. Oh, I am just so pleased with honestly everything, but especially the cheek products, but then also I love the lip. The eye looks really nice. I am just very pleased and excited about this Crystal Slipper collection. I'm gonna go ahead and go about my evening, and then I will be back to do a wear test check to talk more about how all of these products wore, particularly the concealer, and then I will wrap up with my final thoughts. I am back. It has been 3.5 hours and one workout later. I'm here to report on a wear test. During that time, I also was starting to edit the earlier footage, and I wanted to apologize. I had it zoomed in way too close to like my mouth, and a lot of my face was cut off during a lot of the footage earlier. So I wanted to acknowledge that and apologize. Okay, wear test. You guys, I am so impressed. I did a close-up inspection, and I honestly feel like the side with the RMS concealer looks slightly better than the side with the Givenchy concealer. Could also be that I do have like a pretty pronounced deep set like wrinkle on the side of my face where I have the Givenchy, but at the very least, I mean, they performed equally as well, which is amazing because that Givenchy one is one of my favorites. So I am so excited that I have found another concealer that I really like, because I hate so many concealers. So big thumbs up from me on the RMS concealers. Definitely check these out. Again, I was like sweating during my workout. Yes, it's only been, 3.5 hours, but that's typically the point for me when makeup starts to break down. So yeah, I feel pretty confident in the performance of that concealer. I was not expecting it to perform this well. Okay, now for everything else. I still love everything from that Crystal Slipper collection. I'm really surprised as well that I'm not seeing creasing on that shadow, which is great. The lip product has worn off. It's been 3.5 hours. But the blush and the highlighter are still looking really dewy and really pretty. So big thumbs up from me on everything we talked about today. I am so excited about those concealers and very excited about this Crystal Slipper shade extension. I hope they do this for some of their other shades, like maybe like Hanky Panky, or I think there's one like Bohemian Girl. I really like that shade in the blush. I like this idea of like expanding these beloved colors into their other formulas. If this video was helpful, would love if you give this a thumbs up and follow me on Instagram and subscribe. If this video was helpful and you do decide to pick up any of these items, would love if you consider shopping through my links down below and or using my discount code. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you decide to watch another one of my videos in the future.